Council of Business Leaders is absolutely central in our activities. We don't see the partnership with the private sector as a fundraising activity. We see as a way to draw the expertise that corporations have in order to help us to be more effective in what we do. For instance, registration of refugees is a very complex process. It's like an ID system, and Microsoft has designed a special software for that. Nobody else could do it as they did. In communication, we have naturally difficulties to convey our message. We need to find new technologies, new methodologies, and both Nike and WPP have been extremely important in helping us do that. We have management problems. We need to streamline the organization. PwC has given a lot of their expertise on that. And when you resettle refugees from a developing country to a developed country, in which there are opportunities, you need to make sure that people have the capacity to grasp those opportunities. Manpower can do it much better than what we do. So this is a partnership in which what is crucial for us is to find the areas of expertise in which the private sector can help us to be much more effective in the support for the people we care for.
The economic meltdown in Zimbabwe has exacerbated the refugee crisis in South Africa. The situation in border towns like Musina is grim. What is the UNHCR doing to alleviate the problem, and frankly, what do you want to see from the international community?
Many of the people that flee Zimbabwe cannot be classified technically as refugees, according to the 51 Convention. They do not flee because of political persecution. They flee because they are hungry, because the economy has been destroyed. And of course, that will not be reversed if there is no political solution. And so, what I believe is essential is for the international community, the regional countries, the international community as a whole, what is essential is to make sure that a political solution is found. And then, of course, to help and support the humanitarian activities and human rights activities in order to alleviate the plight of these people that is suffering a lot, both inside Zimbabwe and in the countries around.
Xenophobia is also a problem in parts of South Africa.
I think it's not a problem in South Africa. It is one of the key issues in refugee protection. How to make sure that people are able to accept in their societies those in need, how to make sure that differences are respected, that we understand diversity as a plus, not as a threat. How can we eliminate fear of the other, of the different? This is a key issue in our societies everywhere. And I believe that it is not a question in which we can only refer to refugees. It has to do with labor mobility, it has to do with migration, it has to do with all these questions that will be more and more relevant in the 21st century. We probably will have more to gain in the future from labor mobility than from only the liberalization of trade. We live in a world where money moves freely, goods move more or less freely, but people still face huge obstacles to move.
What are the refugee hotspots today?
One is a group that starts in Pakistan, Afghanistan, moves into Iraq, Palestine, Sudan, Somalia, where you generate about 2/3 of the world's refugees. Some of these crises represent also the breeding ground for terrorism, which has nothing to do with refugees. Refugees are victims of terrorism. But indeed, they represent a huge challenge for the international community. And then we have the other crises, which are not interlinked, which are not perceived as a global threat, even if they are a humanitarian tragedy. DRC, for instance, is horrible. We have the number of people that die in DRC every 6 months and should not die, not only because of conflict, because of diseases, things of the sort. It's one tsunami per 6 months. So these other crises tend to be forgotten. And sometimes it's very difficult to raise awareness and to get resources.
And let me pick up on that. Raising awareness. You have celebrities like Angelina Jolie who are great ambassadors. What else are you doing to raise your profile?
I think that the role that people like Angelina Jolie can play is absolutely crucial. She has been extremely useful for us. She is not only a very well-known actress, but a very intelligent and effective communicator in relation to refugee problems. And she has been extremely helpful to raise awareness. And the same applies to several other heroes. Giving Shelter is an excellent initiative. It represents a very simple way to convey a message that involved not only the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger, but also Ben Affleck, that has been extremely important in organizing this campaign and this movement. And I think it is one of the key ways to make people understand the plight of people that are forced to move and that have no shelter. Shelter, not only physical shelter, but the respect for their rights and the capacity to allow them to live in safety and in dignity.